Ladies and gentlemen, you know who we are. I'm the microphone messiah. He is a Canadian destroyer. He likes to destroy my people. I don't know why. Phillip and Brandon are back. We have another top 10 for you, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell by the name of the video, top 10 favorite female wrestlers of all the times. Brandon, how you doing, man? It's Wednesday. This is going up on Friday. How you doing, dude?
Phillip, I'm doing just fine. It's a Wednesday. I'm kind of losing track of days, to be honest with you. I don't even know what day of quarantine we're in at this point, but it's whatever.
Yes. It is what. When did California officially go on quarantine? March what?
It was like the weekend of that APW show because I was supposed to do a story on it, and then like everything shut down, and then I had to like do another story, and then after that's so like mid-March. So we've been on this for like what, 4 months at this point, 5 months.
It's like 136 days, 37, something like that. That's
too damn long.
Too damn long. It's almost August. Like time, it feels like it hasn't moved, but it has. It's flown by. Wow. I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? But we're here to help you guys escape from the pandemic quarantine era as much as we can. So I don't remember who went first last time we did one of these. So Brandon, if you have any honorable mentions, go right ahead.
So to be honest, Phillip, I thought the list was like the best women wrestlers of all time. So my list might be a little funky, but I can adjust on the fly because that's the type of person I am. But in my honorable mention, the honorable mention that I have is someone who I don't think I've ever actually seen her work, but she is widely regarded. People smarter than me will say she is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And that would be Mildred Burke. Back in the day, so y'all people, y'all youngins out there, do your research, find out who Mildred Burke is, because you think Becky Lynch is a superstar and drawing money, Mildred Burke blows her out of the water.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, it was our favorite women, but you're gonna adjust on the fly.
They're pretty much two of the same because I didn't go like Japanese women from the 90s. I mean, mostly all of these are just like modern wrestlers from North America.
For my honorable mention, I'm going Bull Nakano, dude. You hear about the great work she did with Alundra Blaze Medusa, a woman you met at StarCast.
Lovely woman.
You hear about all the great work they did back in the 90s in the WWF and that women's division in that era. And another honorable mention is Chyna. I didn't grow up during her work, but hell, she revolutionized the business for women, IC champ, all this other great stuff, man. So yeah, they're in the honorable mentions. And I'm sure you can throw a Mae Young in there. Absolutely, there's a tournament named after her. For the great work she did back in the day. A Wendy Richter? Yeah. Absolutely.
So I guess I'm going to start it off. Number 10. Might be a shocker to you. I don't know if you even think I'd put her on this list. And I will go with Charlotte. I know I make fun of Charlotte all the time. I say she's not that, she's overrated. But I think putting her at 10, that's good enough. I'm giving her the recognition. She's been there. She's been a part of a lot of great matches, even though most of those matches was because the other person was making it a great match. I'm just saying, I feel like Charlotte is if she's in there with someone lesser than her, she ain't gonna get a great match out of her. But if she's with someone they're better than her, then she can have a great match. So she's kind of like your boy back there, Big Match John or Triple H.
Wow. Well, first of all, the 10 is too low. That's absolutely too low. She needs to crack at least the top 5. And dude, I mean, no, Charlotte's very good. She's basically what her father used to do. Rick used to go to a territory with a no-name guy, wrestle him for an hour, make the guy, then the next thing you know, the guy was the biggest thing in the territory. Well, Flair went off to like New Zealand or Abu Dhabi or something to defend the 10 pounds of gold. Like, yeah, man. I mean, come on.
She's no Rick, let's be honest.
I mean, no. I mean, Rick's the GOAT, but she's not number one on my list. But she's let's say. About 2.5, 3 years from now, she could crack number 1. We don't know. We'll see.
I think it also has to do with maybe the booking, because her booking has been just so erratic, and she's a babyface sometimes and a heel the other times. And if she just kind of stayed in, like, let's just say she was a heel for the entire run, and she was doing great work, I think I would like her a lot more.
Yeah. Her booking has been erratic. I mean, She would when she debuted on the roster. Yes, heel. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, look, I'll talk about Charlotte once I get to her. Once I get to her. So I guess we're going with my number 10. This may shock a couple people, but the beautiful people. Yes, and I'll go Madison, not Madison Rain, but Velvet Sky and Angelina Love, to fine women I met at Starcast. Yeah, man. When I was watching TNA back in the day, they were featured talents on that show. They were having longer matches than the Divas in WWE during the Divas era, and they held the Knockouts tag titles. Both of those women have been the Knockouts champion in TNA, and they were a featured part of that show. They got multi-seg matches, and all times they weren't good, but they got better over time, and they became one of the highest drawing acts. I think they are the highest drawing act in TNA.
Well, Philip, I do have some TNA people on my list. I don't have that many women, but the beautiful people are an act that I do remember. Did met Velvet Sky WrestleMania weekend, so that was a lot of fun. But I mean, they're good. I mean, you kind of look at their gimmick, and they're like, oh, they're kind of all sex. But when it comes down to the ring, they're not that bad.
Absolutely, absolutely, dude. So who's your number 9?
Well, we're going number 9. I said I got some TNA people, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to go with Awesome Kong at number 9. Maybe I know, maybe a little bit too low. I think she's done a lot of great work. I don't know if you even have her on the list, Philip.
Actually, that's not too low because I have her at number 9 as well.
Well, look at that. We're agreeing on something for once.
I know it's very rare, ladies and gentlemen. Um, you get into why you have her at 9, and then I'll do it as well.
Well, I just think that she's such a different character, such a different body type and person in the women's wrestling game, and I think that she was able to, do a lot of great stuff. Unfortunately, when she had her run in WWE, it wasn't really she didn't really do anything, which was definitely sad to see. But her time in TNA, I thought she did some great work there. She is a part of AEW, I guess, but she hasn't been on it for a long time. I hope that she comes back and she can do something. Maybe not be the main person, but maybe a mentor, maybe someone who can have a few matches every now and then, kind of like an Andre, just kind of come in, have a showcase match, and then she bounces.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, she was another one that shined during that TNA era. It was her and Gail Kim, who I'm going to get to a little bit later on this list. They really dominated that women's division. They put it on the map, and the matches those two women had together were absolutely amazing. Yeah, her WWE run, it wasn't great. I mean, she really didn't do much. I mean, she had got pregnant, and so she left the company. Unfortunately, had a miscarriage. She did go back to TNA Impact later on, and had some more very good matches. Her career's been rejuvenated with the Glow series on Netflix. She's a mentor there, and also one of the cast members on screen. And yes, she's a part of AEW. When she appeared at Double or Nothing, dude, that was one of my hardest pops. I was like, oh my god, she's a effing badass. I'm so glad she's with this company. And I'd love to see her have a run with the strap. I don't know, like how much. I don't know if she has any real limitations in the ring, because we haven't really seen her work like that. But if she has a match or two and she looks pretty good, why not, man? Why not?
Why not? So I'm going to go on to my number 8, and you talked about it. These two women are synonymous with each other, so I will go with Gail Kim at my number 8. She had a run in WWE, fairly successful, definitely better than what Awesome Kong did, but I think she definitely made a name for herself and did her best work in TNA, in Impact. A lot of great matches there. I mean, WWE wants to claim the women's revolution happened in whatever 2016, but let's be honest, TNA was doing some great women's wrestling 10 years before that, and Gail Kim was definitely the focal point of that Knockouts division. And she was able to, get some good matches out of the beautiful people, out of Awesome Kong, and maybe some other women who, were only there, not only there, but they may not have had the best working ability. And I felt that Gail Kim was able to get the best out of them. And that's why I feel as though she's one of my favorite, and also one of the greatest women's wrestlers of the past 25 plus years or whatever.
Well, you're not gonna believe this. Guess who's at my number 8 as well. It's not Gail Kim, I'm joking. You can look, but you can't touch. I gotta give it to the Bella Twins, guys. I mean, they debuted in the Divas era, 2008, sure, but Twin Magic, it was fun. It was fun. Brie had a run with the title in 2011, and then Nikki had one run with it, and then, dude, Nikki got pretty good at the end. She really did. She started having these really good matches. I mean, I was in the house for Hell in the Cell 2014, Nikki versus Brie. It was a pretty good match. I mean, Paige and AJ Lee was better, but it was a pretty good match. And Nikki, some people may say it's out of spite due to who had the record, but she becomes the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. She had good matches with Charlotte, and then at Evolution, she had a pretty good match with Ronda Rousey. She was having better matches towards the end of her career.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that we're just going Nikki Bella, or are we going both Bella twins? Just to be on, just to be clear.
I'll give it. It's more Nikki, but I'm giving it to both Bella twins because I mean, they were different for their time in the Divas era. They didn't go off and pose naked. They didn't do Playboy. They made a brand by working hard. That grit, that determination. So yeah, I'm giving it to the Bellas.
I do agree with you that Nikki Bella, in particular, might be a little underrated. I do think that she was doing a lot of great work. Not great work, but she was doing a lot of good work in that her last Divas title reign. Brie Bella, she's okay. I mean, she came in for that run with Daniel Bryan and Miz and Maurice, and I mean, she was a little rusty. I mean, she had a baby, and she came back, and she wasn't the best, but I do think Nikki might be the better out of the Bella twins, and I mean, they were kind of the bridge from Trish and Lita into this current generation of wrestlers, Kelly and all them. But I think the Bella Twins is kind of the perfect mix of, yes, they had the sex appeal, but they had enough credibility in the ring to where, WWE gave them the spotlight as much as they did.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, man. So who else do you got?
We're going to move on to number 7, and we're going to go with someone who should be the Raw Women's Champion at this point, but we'll talk about that. Well, we did talk about that on the Bulletcast yesterday. That would be Asuka. I love Asuka's work. I think she's did a lot of great work in NXT. Haven't seen too much of what she did over in Japan, but in NXT, I thought she did great work. Super protected. She had that long winning streak. She wins the Royal Rumble and all the other stuff. And the past maybe year or two, she kind of was falling off. She wasn't doing a whole lot, but I think this last few months, especially during the quarantine era, she's definitely been recognized as an MVP, and she's been given the ball. I think she's definitely run with it. She's definitely in this, marquee feud with Sasha Banks and Bayley. I think she's doing some good work. Her and Kairi Sane in the tag team division was also really great as well. And I love Asuka, so putting her as my number 7.
Okay, okay. All right, I have a woman of Asian descent at my number 7 as well. I'm going Gail Kim. This is where we're really going to get into it. She had 2 runs in WWE. The first one, okay, sure, she won the women's title, yeah, but then she went off to TNA, bro, and she excelled. She absolutely excelled. The matches with Awesome Kong, the stuff with Daphne. She comes back to WWE in like '09. It didn't really work out. It did. I mean, the most notable thing she did was she had like a little love storyline with Daniel Bryan, but then she goes back to TNA and she thrives yet again, having matches with a Mickey James and a Victoria who was Tara, and that last knockout standing match with Taryn Terrell who was Tiffany in WWE, the ECW general manager. People don't think of that, but that was really good as well. So yeah, man, it's I look at it like that. It's absolutely great for Gail Kim.
Exactly. I've already kind of talked about Gail Kim, so don't want to go too much into it. So I'm going to go on to my number 6. You just said her, and for some reason I didn't think of her when I was doing my list. So at number 6, I did have Paige. Shout out Paige, but I think she's going to get knocked out to the honorable mentions. Paige, love her, but I'm going to replace her with Mickey James. I love Mickey James's work when she was in WWE that first time. She had that run with Trish Stratus, the stalker. They had the lesbian aspect of things, which maybe wasn't the most tasteful thing in the world. But I loved Mickey James's crazy persona. We also have another crazy chick on this list that you guys know I love. But I love Mickey James. She did great work in WWE, but also in TNA. I think she did some fantastic work as well. She comes back. She has the match. Was it with Asuka in NXT, I believe? And that kind of led her way back into WWE, and she's been on the shelf. She hasn't done anything recently. I think when we went to that Raw, or we went to the Raw in San Francisco. I think she was doing some commentary on main event or something like that. So hopefully Mickey James, maybe finds a spot in commentary or she does some other stuff with WWE.
Uh, Damn, dude, we agree yet again. We agree yet again. That's fun. I did have Melina at this spot. I mean, she could be moved into the honorable mentions. I mean, she was one of the best talents of that Divas era of women who could really get in there and do the damn thing. But Mickey James, bro. I mean, you look at the first run. Like, I mean, she did have that stalker lesbian angle with Trish, whatever. But she was one of the ones during that era that could really wrestle as well. And then you look at the TNA stuff, man. Multiple time knockouts champion, having great matches with Victoria, and then pulling matches out of women people said they couldn't really work. But Madison Rayne was fine. Brooke Tessmacher, Miss Tessmacher, she was fine. Those matches were good. Velvet Sky was good stuff. The stuff with Gail Kim, loved it, man. So yeah, Mickey James, one of the best to ever do it, and the only woman to hold the TNA, WWE, and Divas Women's Championships. Only woman in history.
You mentioned Melina. Shout out Melina. She's on all my list, but she's probably my first ever wrestling crush. When she did the splits for the first time when I saw her, I became a man.
We talking wrestling crushes? Got to give it to Kelly Kelly. Friend of the show. Friend of the show. When she was doing the extreme expose and all that other stuff, just absolutely gorgeous human being. There we go. So I guess we're at number 5 now.
Well, we are at number 5 now. So later in the list, I did Awesome Kong and Gail Kim back to back, and so I guess it's apropos that I'm doing these two women back to back, and even the person on my number 4. They're all kind of linked together in some way. Because at number 5, I have Trish Stratus. I know maybe some people might think that might be a little low. Philip, this is the part of the podcast where Philip has a heart attack.
Oh, I've been eating better now. I've been eating better. I'm on a diet, trying to be a slender boy now. Oh my god. Explain?
So I have Trish at number 5. I love Trish. I think she's fantastic as a wrestler, as a character. I think she's fantastic. But I just think there are women who are better than her. And I know you posted the photo or whatever on the Bulletcast Instagram a couple days or weeks ago that said, "Oh, is Trish Stratus the greatest women's champion of all time?" I feel as though Trish is a tad bit overrated. Yes, she was good. She was really good. But I just feel like, especially with a lot of these women that I have coming up next, there's women much better than her.
Oh god. Oh god. If this were like 2 weeks ago, I would have had a major heart attack due to all the fatty foods I've been eating. But I'm on the meal plan now. I'm feeling a little better on the inside. Oh god. We're at number 5. I'm just so distracted. I forgot. Yeah, I have 2 women for number 5. One is Beth Phoenix, WWE Hall of Famer. She was one of the very few women during the Divas era that could actually get out there and do the damn thing, man. I mean, the people compared her like, "Oh, this is this generation's China," or something like that. I mean, beautiful woman could get out there and wrestle with the best of them. Glamorella, I popped for the stuff. I'm not gonna lie, when she was doing her stuff with Santino, multiple time women's champion, a Divas champion, had the first ever Divas tables match along with Natalya when they were the Divas of Doom going up against Lay Cool. Honorable mention Lay Cool, by the way. Michelle McCool and Layla don't get enough credit for actually how good they were during that time frame. And the other person that's at number 5 is Natalya. I mean, she's a heart. She's a part of the generation. That awesome family. I love Natalya. She's super underrated in my opinion. I mean, people know how good she is, but they don't know how good she truly is. I mean, when she got a run with the SmackDown Women's title, I'm like, finally, where the hell has this been? She was a Divas champion. Like, there was like a 7-year gap in between that. I love Natalya to death. She's one of my all-time favorites, and I'd like to see her in a more prominent spot in WWE. And when she was farting, that was an absolute waste of the talent that she was and is.
Well, fortunately, I think when Natalya was doing her farting gimmick, that was when I was taking my sabbatical from wrestling, so I didn't watch that. Beth Phoenix, that's also kind of when she was at her peak, was kind of the time I wasn't watching wrestling all that much. So I didn't put her on my list, but I definitely appreciate and recognize what she did. I love the commentary that she does. And NXT, she's definitely gotten a lot better. I know when she first started, she wasn't the best, but I think she's definitely finding her stride. And then Natalia also, I mean, she's really good. You kind of said it that she is definitely underutilized. I wish maybe she could go to NXT because I feel as though she would get a lot more respect there and get a better spot on the card. Natalia, I mean, I love what she does, but I just feel as though maybe it is because she's a heart is the reason why Vince doesn't push her as hard as he does.
Well, I mean, her uncle did screw himself, so that's and blamed Vince for it. So that's one of the reasons. But Natalia, I mean, she's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Got to give it to my fellow Canadians, man.
Well, let's move on to my number 4. I had Trish at number 5. Philip almost had a heart attack. And I am Team Lita, Team Extreme all day, so I'm going Lita. I feel Lita is better than Trish Stratus. I feel as though her character, the way she connected with the crowd, and the in-ring aspect, yes, she might be a little sloppy, at times a little reckless, but I just like Lita's character a little bit better. Even the stuff she did with Edge and that kind of gimmick she had, I love that as well.
Yeah, dude, Lita's not even in my top 10, bro.
Wow, the disrespect!
No, no, no,
I
no.
have a heart attack. Right
Listen. I love Lita to death. She lives out here in the Bay. Shout out for loving the Golden State. I think I liked her more in the managerial role with Edge and the live sex celebration. I think I liked her more in that role. Because that's what I gravitated towards. But look, I mean, honorable mentions, hands down. If you were to ask me like a couple years down the line, if I were to revamp this list, she may lock in a spot, absolutely. But no, as of right now, no. But I mean, awesome talent, Team Extreme. She was involved in the love triangle with Matt and Edge that put on some really good matches and some shoot wrestling angle that we had in the business. But yeah,
back in those Team Extreme days, it could be argued that Lita was the most over out of those 3.
oh no, she probably was, dude, absolutely. And her stuff with S.A. Rios back in the day.
See, you're just building my case for why she's better than Trish Stratus.
I mean, hold on. I'll get to Trish. I'll get to her. Oh, is it time for my number 4?
It is time for your number 4.
She ain't the lady to mess with. I'm going Victoria, Tara, whatever you want to call her. Brandon and I met her at the Cow Palace. She choked both of us. Yeah, man. I mean, she's one of the best, and another one that's super underrated. Put her in the WWE Hall of Fame. She absolutely deserves it. Her first run with the company, she was doing good work. That triple threat at WrestleMania 19 with her, Trish, and Jazz. Jazz is another one that's super badass, super underrated that needs to be on anybody's list. Yeah, man. So that stuff was great, and then she goes to TNA and becomes Tara and does her. Does probably the last best work of her career, in the latter years, and because her latter years in WWE, she was wearing the spider gimmick. She wasn't really doing much. She was being a little bit more cartoony, and then she was part of Vince's Devils with Tori and Candice, kind of like a Charlie's Angels type deal. But one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. She just quietly stepped away from the ring. This past year, she wrestled at an indie show. I can't remember who she wrestled, but yeah, man, Lisa Marie Varon, Tara, Victoria, whatever you want to call her, absolutely one of the best to ever do it. I loved her as a kid. I had a great appreciation for her work as an adolescent, even now, especially more appreciation for her work as an adult. And I want to see her in the WWE Hall of Fame. She's one of them that absolutely deserves to be in there.
I do not have Victoria on my list. Give her an honorable mention.
Blasphemy!
I know. I'm sorry. But she was one of those women in those early 2000s when I first started watching wrestling that I gravitated to. I liked her. That's why, her, Trish, Lita, Mickie James, Molly Holly, all those women in the early 2000s. I love all of them. And then, I kind of fallen off of wrestling. I'd come back and watch her stuff in the early 2010s in TNA. I was like, oh, that's Victoria. She's, a little older, but she's still doing great work, and she's, was fantastic. And I think she is one of those women that is a little underrated, and she doesn't get the acclaim she needs I'm not going to say it, in the WWE world. I'm not saying the word. You're not going to, I've never said the word, I think, ever, and you're not going to hear me say it on this podcast.
Wait, what is tell me what the word is after we're off air.
It starts with a U.
Okay, okay. You know what? I think that's what we're gonna call our fans. The Bullet.
No,
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 no.
no.
We need a name for our fans,
We
Brandon.
don't need cult speak like WWE.
I mean, in the click they have we have clicksters. We need some a name for our fans.
Cast members.
The cast. I mean, but we're the cast members because we're on the show.
The Bullets. I don't know.
The Bullets. I don't know. We're spewing them. All right. Where are we? Number three.
I think so. Oh yeah. So this would be my number three.
Yes,
Because you
sir.
just did Victoria. So I'm gonna go with a second four horsewoman. I only got three on the list. So I guess Bailey, not on my list. She's cool, but
But she's from the Bay.
henceforth her name Bailey. But I'm gonna go with maybe the most talented in ring wrestler in the four horsewomen, and that would be Sasha Banks. I love Sasha. Is Sasha Banks your number three?
Yes, sir.
There you go. I love what Sasha Banks
We're
is doing.
3 for 3.
Right now, I mean, maybe she's a little overbearing, a little annoying, but I do appreciate her in ring work. She's kind of one of those women that's a little undersized and she's a little reckless in the ring. And I mean, it feels like every time she has like a pay per view or big time match, she always does something where I'm like, God, Sasha, don't hurt yourself. And I mean, I think her in ring work is, maybe the best in WWE. Her character work, NXT and early WWE, I think is good. And I think she's definitely found her footing again in this run with Bailey. And I just feel that, everything she's done has been great. And I think, everyone on the internet seemingly loves her. And I'm one of those people as well.
I know why you have her at number 3 because you're the Sasha Banks of this podcast with your title runs. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
There you go. She's my number 3, bro. She's the blueprint, the legit boss. Yeah, man. Brandon talks about how he was on that Becky Lynch hype when she was doing that Irish jig. I was on that Sasha Banks hype before she was even the boss. She was still finding her footing on NXT when it was like on WWE.com and Hulu and all that other stuff, man. She was aligning herself with Summer Rae. Yeah, so I mean, I love Sasha.
Shout out Summer Rae, fire TikTok.
Fired, absolutely. Shout out Danielle Monet. Yeah, man. Look, I was very high on her, absolutely, and I still am. Blueface Banks, I love her to death. I mean, the match she had at Takeover, the first one with Bailey, it's one of the best women's matches. Hell, it's just one of the best matches I've ever seen. Absolutely, it's in my top 10. Go listen back to that in the archive. And I love what she's doing right now. I mean, she hasn't really found her footing again, and I hate that they kept hotshotting the title off of her. Like, she gets it, then she just loses it. Like, I didn't like any of that. I did not. But look at the matches she had with Charlotte that were good. She had some pretty decent ones with Alexa Bliss. Alexa, another honorable mention. Shout out, baby girl. But yeah, I mean, Sasha has a big pay-per-view match. Whenever she does a dive, it looks like she's dying, but that just adds to the drama and the suspense of the match. That's the art of storytelling. It's the art of the craft. And Sasha's one of the very few that has mastered it. I love when she's the legit boss. Babyface Sasha was cool, but when she's the legit boss, when she's had a contract signing and she has the stamp of approval that I'm about to whoop your ass in this match, I love it, dude.
Yeah, and I was there at Hell in a Cell last year. That show was utterly atrocious. And the only bright spot was her and Becky Lynch in that Hell in a Cell match. Maybe the best women's match I've ever seen. I thought that match was fantastic last time I ever saw Becky. For now, hopefully Becky comes back. But Sasha, I think her in-ring work is definitely what I think propelled her to such heights on my list, because I think she's had great matches. I mean, the Bailey feud in NXT, I mean, making Izzy cry was one of the highlights of my fandom. I thought that was just fantastic. But and I mean, NXT Sasha Banks might be my favorite Sasha Banks, but I think what she's doing right now, and kind of sporadically throughout her WWE tenure, I think she's done good work there as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who's at number 2?
So at number two and number one, when we did our list of favorite wrestlers as general, I had both of these women on my list. So I kept it the same order. So if you remember who I had on my list, then you'll know who this woman is. Phillip said I was on the hype train before anybody else was. I'm such a great scouter of talent. And yes, at number 2, I have the man, Becky Lynch. I just, when she was in NXT, I could see that, she was good and, she did the Irish jig, but she only did that for a little bit. But then she'd go to the steampunk gimmick in NXT. And I was like, you know what? She has a quirky personality. She's really good in the ring. I still think Sasha Banks is better than her in ring wise, but I think Becky is just right there with her. And then, we kind of see the evolution, no pun intended, throughout her career. I mean, she gets called up to WWE, doesn't do a whole lot, but then when she goes to SmackDown, kind of gets her own spotlight there. She definitely started to get momentum. And 2 years ago, that day before the Raw before Survivor Series, when she has the angle, she invades Raw. She's bloody and everything, and I was going to the Survivor Series, and I wasn't really looking forward to anything but that Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey match. And that might be, outside of WrestleMania, the most hyped I've ever been to see a match for WWE in general, was that Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey match.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you really look at it. You look at what she became. She became the biggest thing in the business for a little bit. I mean, she turns on she turns on Charlotte at, well, I think it was like SummerSlam or something, after Charlotte wins the title, and they tried to make her a heel, and they realized right away, oh no, that's not going to work. Usually WWE would just keep forcing it, but they didn't do that. She said, "I am the man," and then the stuff she did with Charlotte and at the Super Showdown in Australia, and the Evolution pay-per-view, just really just solid, good-ish. And the promos with Ronda, I mean, Ronda wasn't really the best on the mic, but Becky's little jabs and quirks carried it. And her standing on the stage after Nia bust her open, Nia, another honorable mention, love Nia Jax to death. Yeah, man, her standing on that stage with her Irish war paint bloody, I don't like to use the word swagger, but I'm going to use it, just the swagger, standing up there talking mad-ish. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what's up. That's one of my favorite moments. Hell, it's in the video open for our show. Dude, so she's what's up, bro. She did become great, and I like how, they got the title off of her, because it was starting to get very stale. It was, I'm not going to lie to you. I think what didn't help was the multiple matches she had with Lacey Evans. If they had just had a one-off, okay, sure, and if Lacey somehow got another one, okay, yeah, fine, but they just kept going with it, and that's what kind of started to tinker it down a little bit.
That mixed tag she had with Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin, I thought that match was quite underrated. I quite enjoyed that match.
Oh, bro, the end of days on her, I'm like, oh, that was dope, bro, that was dope. Baron Corbin should have won, by the way.
So lastly, I feel as though Becky Lynch, I love her talent. I think she's, fantastic wrestler and character, but I also feel as though she was kind of, lucky because she came around at the right time in the right place with Ronda Rousey. WWE definitely wanted to have that first ever women's main event at WrestleMania. Becky got hot. Not saying if Becky didn't get hot, they wouldn't have just put someone else in that spot to go against Ronda Rousey. But I feel because Becky did what she did at the time she did it with Ronda on the come up, she definitely was a beneficiary of the Ronda Rousey effect.
Absolutely, Becky two belts, even though it's not a belt, it's a title. My number two, woo! Gotta give it to Charlotte Flair. What is she? A 10-time women's champion. She's held 12 titles in WWE. If you want to count the, of course you have to count the 2 NXT title runs, but officially 10 women's world titles. She's gonna hit Flair's she's gonna hit the fake record of 16, and she'll probably hit the real record of it's between 21 and 25. That's interesting to me. I love it. I mean, she's had very good matches. The Hell in the Cell she had with Sasha. The matches she's had with Becky fighting over it. The one she had with Natalya when she won her first NXT Women's title back in 2014. Her dad's in her corner and Brett's in Natty's corner. Just great stuff. And then this year she was on all 3 shows, dominating WWE TV. On Fox and on USA.
Don't get me started NXT. On her running NXT and winning the title and then not doing a job on the way out.
Oh, dude, hey, her backstage game is strong, brother. Yeah. See, Tessa, that's how you're supposed to do it. Tessa Blanchard, that's how you do it. That's how you have real good backstage game. You don't do the job on the way out, but you still look good on your way out. Yeah.
You kind of said it with all those matches that you highlighted with Charlotte. I feel as though all those women, Becky, Sasha, and Natalya, are better wrestlers than Charlotte. That's why I put her on 10. I gave her respect. She's on the list. But I just feel as though in ring wise, she's a little clunky. She's not the best. I feel as though if she goes in there, I mean, we've seen that match she had with Lacey Evans last year. That might have been one of the worst matches of the year. And if you put Charlotte in there with someone lesser than her, it's not going to be pretty. But if you put Sasha, Becky, Natalia, Asuka with someone like a Lacey Evans, I feel as though they can get something out of her. Because I feel Becky and Lacey, yes, the feud went on too long, but I feel as though Becky was able to get some decent matches out of Lacey Evans. And even Natalia got some decent matches out of Lacey Evans as well.
Okay, bro, it takes two to tango. Okay, it takes two to tango. All right. Now there are the very rare instances where great talent has to pull something out of somebody lesser. Charlotte's a great talent. I'm gonna let you know that right now. Look at WrestleMania 34. Her and Asuka. That was the best match on that show, and she ended her streak.
Asuka's better than Charlotte.
Oh, she's not even on my list. Explain that. Her or Kyrie. Explain that.
Well, Kyrie's not on my list, but Asuka's on mine. Number 7.
Shout out Kyrie. You did you do. We're gonna miss you, baby girl. Asuka's not on my list, bro. Hell, I'd rather have Nia on my list than Asuka. I'm gonna say it right now. Nia and Tamina. Love both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, number 1, who is it? Huh? Let me know.
Well, I think we know who our number ones are. We ain't gonna be the same on this one. I'm going. My number 1 is AJ Lee. She was in there in the early 2010s. I love me some AJ. She was in there when nobody was really doing anything. She was planted in the Divas era. She was on that NXT with, Naomi and Caitlyn and all those other women. And then she comes out, she's not the super sex symbol that Vince or Johnny Ace would think of, but she's an attractive girl in her own right. She got over. She did the damn thing. She's a good wrestler. I feel as though she was the best, maybe not the best in that era, because Natalya and Beth Phoenix were still kind of there. And then definitely the time where I enjoyed her work the most was when she was interacting with CM Punk and Dana Bryan and even Kane in that kind of love square, that kind of storyline. So maybe the character is definitely what drove her, because in that era wrestling wasn't that big of a deal. But I think even though she did do some good work, and then when Paige comes along and the other women, when she was kind of on her way out, I think AJ was doing some good work at the end of her run.
So you dig Crazy Chicks?
Exactly.
Yes. I mean, AJ.
That's why I put Mickie James and I kicked out Paige.
Oh, there you go. AJ Lee. I mean, you look at it, dude. She did do good work. I mean, she was put into the season 3, the all-female season of NXT. I don't even remember who her pro was. I mean, she did good work, man. I mean, her personality really did overshine a lot of the women, and her theme song, a lot of people popped for it. And I forgot how it went or whatever. But
let's light it up, light it up, light it up.
There you go. Brandon does have personality. I love it. I mean, she did good work. Her feud with Caitlyn's very underrated. I mean, when she got speared, it looked like she was dead. I loved that. And she's responsible for one of my favorite promos against the Total Divas. By the way, Eva Marie, another honorable mention, loved her. She could have been something. I believe in you. Come back. We need you. That line where she said, "You can't lace up my Chuck Taylors." I'm like, oh, and she was like, "I didn't need to suck up." Get it? I didn't need to suck up to anybody. I'm like, oh damn, she's straight.
She's talking about sucking
that. Just
dick.
Oh, we just went for.
We're uncensored, aren't we?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have get a parental warning before that. Hide your kids.
Hide your kids, please. Yeah, man. So that was great, and she did good work. Like I said, I got to see her live with that match with Paige at Hell in a Cell 2014. It was pretty good. It was really good. Yeah, man. So okay, that's fine. But she's not number 1, bro.
I mean, for me, she's number 1.
I'm
happy to say that I was able to see her last 2 matches at WrestleMania and the Raw after.
Okay, for you, she's number 1. But the person
she was probably the reason. She was probably my favorite thing watching Raw for a good stretch of a few months there. To be honest, those were some dark days in 2012, 2013.
Oh no, those were some of the best days. I missed those days, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. Punk was champion. Everything was right in the world. Yeah, the big gold was around and not that crappy blue universal thing. Oh, Jesus. Miss those days. Bring it back. Just bring back the big gold. And WWE will have positive talks. Yeah, so she's not just my number 1. She's probably regarded as a lot of people's number 1. One of the youngest WWE Hall of Famers of all time. It's time to rock and roll. Lil Kim singing her theme song. It's Trish Stratus. Comes in as this beautiful, beautiful woman. She's managing Test and Albert TNA. You know what that stood for.
It stands for Test and Albert.
Absolutely, and other things. I know we're not talking about the company in Nashville, but yeah. She had her angles. Triple H teaching her how to put in a hammerlock and her stuff with Vince and kissing his ass and all that other stuff. Becoming the women's champion, and she got so good, man. She's not overrated. Not overrated at all. Look at the stuff she did in 2005, man. That's probably some of her best work, absolutely. And she retired as the women's champion. Won it in her last match. Beat Lita, Unforgiven 2006, to become the women's champion 7-time. I mean, the record's been shattered now, but she held that record for so long. Like what? 12, 13 years? That's how long the record was? 7-time women's champion. One of the best to ever do it. I love Trish Stratus, dude. I did. I still do. I thought Charlotte would creep in and become number one, but no. Trish, she still has that place in my heart. Absolutely. And she's Canadian. Gotta support my fellow Canadians.
So when I say that I feel Trish Stratus is overrated, I'm not saying she's trash and she's terrible. I just feel as though, she's not number one. She's not the best ever. But going back, I will give her, I'm going to be nice to her, even though it feels like I'm bearing her this entire time. But we kind of talked about Nikki Bella. She was not very good in the beginning, but then she got good late. I think Trish is definitely, on that same path where she comes in, she is, the beautiful bombshell, and you're like, oh, we realize what she's here for. But then, she breaks out, she does a singles run. She was okay. Like if you watch those early WrestleManias with her and Jazz is definitely carrying that match. But then once you get to like the mid 2000s and the stuff she does with Lita and Mickie James and everything like that, she's like a completely different wrestler. I mean, she's a veteran, she's a pro, and she's just doing fantastic work. So just a quick turnaround time and this is only like in a span of like 5 years, if that. And to go to utter trash to, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, that's a pretty good turnaround.
Okay. She's still the best. She's still the best.
Be nice to her.
Still better than who was your number one again? AJ Lee. Yeah, still better than that.
How can you forget about AJ?
Still better than that.
AJ better than AJ.
Whoa! Hey man, AJ's gonna talk shit about you on his Twitch now.
How did I'm talking about AJ Styles? Maybe I'm talking about AJ Kirsch or AJ.
Whoa! He's a friend of the show.
Or AJ.
Yeah.
AJ. I couldn't think of any other AJs.
Yeah, there are no more AJs, dude. Come on now, man. Come on. Alright, guys, that's going to wrap it up for Brandon and myself. Bulletcast is happening tomorrow, but you won't hear this until Friday. So, yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the Bulletcast. Hopefully you enjoyed our talks about WWE, AEW. There's a bar fight that we're going to talk about. All that great stuff. Absolutely. Alright, stay clean, stay strong, stay safe, stay quarantined. Diamonds are forever, and so is the microphone Messiah.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.